There's a quote on entrepreneurship that you jump off a building and you learn to fly on the way down. So how was the challenge? How did you actually convince your parents to do entrepreneurship?
Convincing them might also be very much next to impossible.
Okay.
So rather it was just the stubbornness that I want to do something. And I remember when I dropped my government job, my father stopped talking to me for 3 to 4 months. But why are you taking such an action? But I was convinced that अच्छा अगर ये जिंदा रहेंगे तो कर लेंगे. In 2005 I had fever and that was actually dengue. And from that I lost both of my kidneys.
How did you actually make sure that you struggle through that, you power through it, and actually grow in your life? Hello everybody, welcome to the zero Point 0.5 show. I am the founder and host Sourabh Chaudhary and this is powered by the 1% MBA. Today we have a very mesmerizing and very wonderful founder with us today, all the way from Kolkata, and his name is Mr. Hardick and he's the CEO and founder of TaxDisha. So I would love for you to introduce yourself and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sourabh. And about me, I am a CA by profession and I'm also an entrepreneur who loves hustling. An entrepreneur's habit is hustling. And apart from that, I am also a TEDx speaker. I like to motivate people and write down my thoughts and bring it out in a book. So, yes.
Okay, that is really inspiring to see. But I would love to understand the Hardik which was before all these achievements. So the Hardik which was from Kolkata, the young version of you, who was before a CA, before a founder of a firm, a startup. So how did you navigate your life then? How were you as a child?
So from the beginning, I was a very timid and shy kid. I used to just observe things. I was not so naughty around, and I used to observe and I used to also absorb things. So I was a great observer. So I used to go around and understand what is happening, how is everything happening, and also looking my father being a businessman. So I also wanted always to be a businessman.
Okay.
But my father used to tell me that at least you should get study and have a degree, because degree is something that's like it acts as an insurance in your life when the life business has an ups and downs. But when you have a degree, that helps you to cover up your bad times. So then I got enrolled in CA, and after doing CA, I got a job in a PSU. But still, I always had that key of doing something of my own. And finally, after working over a decade, I started something of my own. So what I would see over there a decade back or a 2 decade back was a very timid kid, and now what I see myself is something, a person who has been emboldened by the experiences and the hustles.
Okay, so you mentioned that your father wanted you to have a government job and
Not a government job, I would
okay.
say. I would say it like I have a degree to
Have a
study.
degree. Okay, so he preferred a
Yes.
bit of stability, I believe.
Yes, stability.
Stability was something that all of our parents
Yes.
want,
Yes.
and you want to do something of your own. There's a quote on entrepreneurship that you jump off a building and you learn to fly on the way down. So how was the challenge? How did you actually convince your parents to do entrepreneurship? How did you go into a PSU? Was that a conscious decision? I would love to understand a little bit about it.
So I would just make a little bit correction from my viewpoint on that quote you said.
Absolutely.
When you jump off the building, you first fall down, you get badly injured, and then you start flying. Okay, so there is a transition in that.
Okay.
And convincing the parents, parents are the people who are always protected throughout your life. So they won't be convinced so easily. And convincing them might also be very much next to impossible.
Okay.
So rather it was just the stubbornness that I want to do something. And I remember when I dropped my government job, my father stopped talking to me for 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
But why are you taking such an action? But I was convinced that अच्छा अगर ये जिंदा रहेंगे तो कर लेंगे, क्योंकि वहाँ रह के भी वो satisfaction हमको नहीं मिल रहा था. So I just pushed myself करने के लिए.
Right. So and you've spoken publicly about your challenges in various talks that you have done, right? About your kidney issues that you had. You have had multiple surgeries throughout your life. So how did you navigate those challenges in your life, and how did you actually build a successful startup while facing a lot of issues like that?
So you want to go through the story?
I would love to. Please.
Okay. So it was something around in 2005 I had fever, and that was actually dengue, and from that I lost both of my kidneys. Okay, and from there it started the hell story started from there, and after that there are ample complications when you lose your kidneys. The kidneys stop functioning up 90%, both of them were not working, And from there, I just my father told me that if you want to just do something in your life, it's better that you just get yourself admitted to something, or studies or something like that. And then I got admitted myself to CA. But you won't believe, everyone in the family, including my mother, was saying, "अगर तुम जिंदा रहेगा तो पढ़ेगा ना, तो why are you focusing, stressing yourself on studies? Rather, you should take a rest and you should try to come out of this." So, but my father used to always motivate me, you should study. And in 2000, I think 8, I was just I got enrolled, and in 2007 and in 2008, my mother felt unconscious. And when she was admitted to the hospital, her sugar was 600 plus, I think 672. And she also lost both of her kidneys. So now there were two patients in the same
So sorry to hear that. Yeah.
same family of a kidney failure, and kidney failure is something that is irreversible.
Right.
So, and then I anyhow completed the studies, because what my father had always taught me was that resilience is something is inbuilt.
Right.
So there will be ample struggles, but what you can overcome is only through your dedication to do something excel in your life.
Okay.
So I kept on studying, and in 2010 I had a brain stroke,
Oh my God.
and brain stroke that made both of the kids stop working, and I started dialysis, hemodialysis. So you can see the dialysis channels over here. So after that, in 2011 I gave my exams, and in 2010 I got a transplant.
Okay.
And in 2011 I gave my exams, and before, just 2 or 3 months before the exams, I lost the vision in both of my eyes. That was actually the side effect of the steroids, and I had cataract in both of my eyes.
Okay.
And I was determined to give the CA finals, because my father's condition in treating me and my mother had gone totally bad. So he was near to bankrupt. And he
Okay.
told me कि बेटा देखो पढ़ाई होता है तो ठीक है, अगर नहीं होता then come to my shop and let's work and repay the loans. I said, Papa, let's try for the last time.
Okay.
And I remember that time, Saurav, that I used to, whatever paper there was, I couldn't used to see that to do the cataract. I used to stand on the bed for near 10 to 12 hours a day and go through that. And first attempt I couldn't clear. Second attempt I cleared CA. And from there I got into this government job.
That is really, inspiring to know. But, I am a little bit, curious to understand. So many health complications. लोगों का ऐसा होता है कि यार ठीक है इस साल ये कुछ हो गया नेक्स्ट ईयर कुछ हो जाता है सो वी गेट वेरी अपसेट वैसी बट हैविंग सो मेनी इश्यूज थ्रू आउट एंड एक के बाद एक हो रहा है coincidentally. So it would really mess up a person's psychology, the mental health. And हमारा तो now the Gen Zs कुछ भी अगर थोड़ी भी चीजों में even if we fail in something then we are gonna have a really bad mood, mental health, etc. How did you actually make sure that you struggle through that, you power through it and actually grow in your life rather than just rather than focusing on the health issues at hand? How did you actually make sure that your mental health stays stable?
So Saurav, I would just defer to that also because आज के दिन में I go to motivate students, मैं देखता हूँ गर्लफ्रेंड बना के दिए हाथ काट लिए. So people are in that phase nowadays.
Yeah.
So लेकिन सच्चाई क्या पता है सौरभ, जिसके ऊपर जिम्मेदारी गिर गई ना वो दुम दबा के भागता है. ठीक है, जिसके ऊपर घर की जिम्मेदारी है, जिसके ऊपर अपनी जिम्मेदारी, जो अपने लिए कुछ करना चाहता है ना, वो डीमोटिवेट नहीं होता है. हाँ, आदमी है वो थोड़ा डीमोटिवेट होता है, थोड़ा सा सिसक जाता है, फिर वो खड़ा होता है और फिर वो आगे
Right.
देखता है. So mental health is always stable for people who are always eager to perform the responsibilities well. अगर जो आपके साथ एक इंस्टेंस हो जाता है और आप बोलते हैं अरे भाई इसके आगे क्या होगा, दैट मीन्स यू आर नॉट सीइंग द पीपल हु आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन यू, यू आर नॉट सीइंग अ वे आउट. एंड लाइफ इज फुल ऑफ हसल्स. आज मेरी कुछ इश्यूज है, आपके भी कुछ होंगे. नो वन इज फ्री एंड हैप्पी इन द वर्ल्ड, एवरीवन इज
Right.
हसलिंग. सो इट्स ऑलवेज अबाउट द पर्सपेक्टिव यू लुक.
So what you mean to say is that responsibility is the thing that powered you and that motivated you to actually focus on the issues at hand and to grow in life.
Yes. See, human beings are very much true to the core aspect of survival. For survival, they do anything. ठीक है, तो responsibilities were there and had to survive. So we moved on. I looked after the responsibility. I looked after my parents कि उनके लिए भी कुछ करना है. जिंदा रहेंगे तो उनके लिए कुछ करेंगे. They have given their life to me. So I moved out towards there. अगर डीमोटिवेट होना चाहे ना तो मैं तो एक रूम में ही पड़ा रहूँगा, कर यार इतना सब कुछ है कि आगे क्या होगा.
Right.
ठीक है, लेकिन हर परिस्थिति में जिंदा रहना और जिंदा रहना खुशी के साथ, that's something we should all build up.
And you were in a government PSU under the
Yes.
Indian Railways, right?
Yes.
How did you end up there, first of all? And secondly, that is as far from the startup culture as you can get. Laid back, ekdam chill life. मतलब that is what people think, that life sort हो जाता है technically because it is a PSU and government में थोड़ा things go a little bit laid back. So how exactly did you go through that, and how did you actually keep the fire inside you for startup and entrepreneurship?
See, I always had the fire of entrepreneurship, and the actually the PSU job landed through the campus that of the ICI campus. I got directly into the PSU, and in the PSU also, what happened is that uh, I just messed up the question. Can you just repeat that?
So basically, it was about how did you manage to have the motivation for entrepreneurship while being in the PSU, which is
Right. So for the entrepreneurship spirit, I was always there कि मेरे को अपना कुछ करना है. So I got into a PSU on the pressure of my parents कि ठीक है आपको जॉब मिल गया तो तुम जॉब करो. But every day I used to think कब यहाँ से निकल के अपना कुछ करेंगे. तो ये जो कीड़ा जो entrepreneurship का होता है ना पहले से ही होता है.
okay.
ठीक है. और क्या होता है ना when you see people all around और तब आपको लगता है कि नहीं ठीक है हमको भी कुछ करना है. Because see when you do a job your son starts again from zero. But when you do a business system, ecosystem you build up, your
Right.
son starts from where you ended.
Right.
Right. So you build a proper ecosystem and a legacy to leave. और zero से जो बनाता है ना, that is always remembered.